You know, the car wars have officially gone off the deep end when the Emperor of Mars himself lands on Earth and suddenly starts speaking in a thick, local dialect. And that, my friends, is exactly what's happening. You might think you're watching Chinese automakers ganging up to take down Tesla, but you'd be wrong. This time, it's Tesla willingly diving headfirst into the gladiatorial arena that China's giants have perfected, and they've brought their own, very special ticket to the slaughter. Stick around, because you're going to want to hear how this plays out. Let's talk about Tesla's latest maneuvers, specifically the so-called China-exclusive Model YL. The whole affair reeks of a surreal, magical realism. It's like you ordered an authentic bowl of Lanzhou beef noodles, and the chef brings you a plate of spaghetti topped with cheese and pineapple, beaming and telling you it's a localization upgrade. First, let's set the stage. To describe Tesla's recent days in one word, tough. Very tough. Just look at their freshly baked second quarter report card. Revenue, $22.5 billion, a 12% drop year over year. Net profit, under $1.4 billion, a 23% nosedive. And the most critical number, the automotive gross margin has plunged to the 17% mark. Remember when Tesla's gross margins were the stuff of legends, the kind of numbers that made legacy automakers weep with envy? Well now, let's just say even the landlord's mansion is running out of grain. A little more upbeat. Deliveries look slightly better at over 380,000 units. It's still a dip from last year, but a rebound from the first quarter, which gave the market a much-needed shot in the arm. In the here's the inside scoop tone. So why the grim picture? We all know the reasons. On one hand, you have their cosmic-level celebrity CEO, Elon Musk, who decided to take a little detour into the political arena last year. He formed an efficiency department and with the swing of his mighty axe, chopped over 100,000 redundant positions. Sarcastic. A bold move, sure, but the price was steep. He ticked off a lot of people who promptly turned their fury back onto Tesla. The stock price was nearly cut in half. The scene was so chaotic, even the most dedicated leak-cutting analysts couldn't write their reports fast enough. In a mock announcer voice, and what was Musk's grand strategy in the face of this crisis? To sell dreams. Not just any dreams, but ones that have been aging in the cellar for years. He beats his chest and tells shareholders and fans, "Brothers, don't panic. Behold my Robotaxi, a driverless chariot so grand, so round. The future is bright. And look, my Model 2, the fabled budget car, a thing of beauty just around the corner. And my Optimus robot, a steel butler is no longer a dream." With a knowing chuckle. It sounds familiar, right? It's become the tech world's new favorite bedtime story, right up there with "I'll be back in the country next week." Clarifying. Now, I'm not saying these things are bad. On the contrary, they represent the future. The problem is they are long-term projects that require burning mountains of cash and time. Expecting them to pay off in a single quarter? That would require Musk to have actually mastered alien technology. The key is that Tesla's predicament is twofold. Externally, they are surrounded by ferocious enemies, especially the masters of the grind here in China. And internally, they suffer from the chronic disease of high costs and shrinking profits. To prop up sales, Tesla's favorite trick these last 2 years has been the price cut. Building momentum, cutting prices is a thrill for a moment. Keep cutting prices, and your gross margins go to the crematorium. The speed of cost reduction simply can't keep up with the free fall velocity of their price drops. The result? Automotive gross margin has plummeted from its once dominant heights to the current 17.9%. Dripping with irony. And here's the kicker. While profits are shrinking, the big money pits, the cash-guzzling monsters like full self-driving and the Dojo supercomputer haven't seen their R&D budgets cut by a single cent. This creates a classic death spiral, earning less and less while spending more and more. To put it in plain English, the landlord's foolish son is on a wild spending spree. Shifting tone to grandiosity, but this is Elon Musk we're talking about, the man who wants to colonize Mars. He firmly believes Tesla's breakthrough won't be found on the old road of building, selling, and iterating cars. No, his plan is to go all in on a cyberpunk future, to flip the entire table, to bet the house on robotaxis and robots, these era-defining creations that will rewrite the rules and put him in the dealer's seat at the new poker table. As a former king of the joint venture, a man familiar with grand campaigns, he naturally raises his arms and bellows, "Make Tesla great again." Skeptical. The slogan is deafening, but honestly, I feel like I could have written that exact same speech for him last year. It's history on a loop. Alright, with all that context, we finally arrive at our main character, the Model YL, this supposed China exclusive edition. Leaning in. Why do I say this was a move born of desperation? You just need to understand how vital the Chinese market is to Tesla. In 2024, Tesla sold 916,000 cars globally. Over half of them, 657,000, were contributed by China. The Model Y alone accounted for more than 30% of all pure electric SUV sales in China. To call the Chinese market Tesla's lifeline is no exaggeration. But that lifeline is now being chewed on by a pack of local wolves. The Li Auto L9, the Neo S8, the Aito M9. These blockbuster six-seater SUVs from domestic giants are all ruthless predators. Not to mention the recent hurricane named Xiaomi, which is still riding a wave of hype and is now rumored to be developing its own six-seater hybrid SUV. How intense has China's SUV market become since the start of 2024? SUVs have taken up nearly half of the entire passenger car market. Even players who used to specialize in MPVs are now rushing in to grab a piece of the pie. Naturally, Tesla feels the unprecedented pressure in China. In the first half of 2025, to stabilize sales, Tesla's go-to magic trick was, once again, cutting prices. But relying on price cuts is like taking painkillers. It treats the symptom, not the disease. Affordability is important, but if the product itself doesn't keep up, consumers will vote with their feet faster than Musk can fire off a tweet. And so, the China-exclusive Model YL was born. What is this car? Simply put, it's a stretched, widened, and heightened version of the existing Model Y. Dimensions: 4,976 millimeters long, 2,129 millimeters wide, 1,668 millimeters tall, with a 3,040 millimeter wheelbase. They've crammed 6 seats inside, compared to the North American 7-seater version, whose third row was mocked as being suitable only for monkeys. The Model YL's spatial layout is said to be more humane. They've also thoughtfully added custom features like independent rear air conditioning, heated seats, and Nappa leather. Anyone with eyes can see this car is aimed squarely at the Chinese family user, the customer who wants a sense of technology, a ton of space, and a certain level of prestige. But, and friends, this is a very big but. According to the rumors circulating, the pre-sale price for this Model YL is somewhere between 340,000 and 400,000 RMB. When I saw that number, the melon I was eating almost fell out of my hand. What did that price point even mean? At the high end, it goes head-to-head with the top-tier domestic champions, the Li Auto L9s and Aito M9s of the world. These guys have spent years cultivating their reputation and user base in space, luxury, smart features, and local services. They are deeply entrenched. And at the lower end of that range, Chinese brands offer a massive selection of vehicles with insane specs and mind-blowing value for money, not to mention a pack of hungry MPV contenders lurking on the sidelines. Tesla's brand halo still shines, and the Model Y's foundation is solid. But in today's hyper-competitive Chinese market, where consumers are savvy down to the very bones, thinking that a simple stretch and stuff job can convince them to happily fork over 350,000 yuan, the difficulty level of that is comparable to getting Elon Musk not to tweet for an entire day. I'm not saying it has zero chance, but the 4 words, uncertain future, might as well be its official slogan. After all, Chinese consumers are holding their purses tighter than ever, and the art of not being a leak is being perfected daily. Of course, Tesla isn't just selling car-shaped promises, they are doing tangible things. For instance, their supercharger network, which is being built out at a furious pace, has now surpassed 70,000 stalls worldwide. This is real infrastructure. In the second quarter, the services and other category alone brought in $2.6 billion in revenue, up 17%. This is the simple logic of, if you want to get rich, first build roads. It deserves applause. But Mr. Musk's thinking is always so wonderfully bizarre. He saw all these charging stations and thought, a gas station can't exist without a McDonald's next to it. And thus, the first Tesla diner opened in Los Angeles. He says he wants to roll them out globally. It's performance art. You can't say it's useless. It does increase brand exposure and user stickiness, but you can't say it's vital either. It seems a bit distant from the core business of building cars and developing autonomous driving. But hey, it's fun to watch. As the newest Instagram-worthy hotspot, people will leave munching on a burger, muttering, "Actually, this is pretty good." I suppose that's the magic of Musk. Back to the main point. As for FSD and Robotaxi, there has been some progress. Supervised FSD has been approved in the Netherlands and service areas are expanding, but these two are still giant promises for the future. Their short-term impact on the financial statements is limited. As for the robot, well, it's still in the phase where normal people can't afford it and rich people buy it as a collectible figurine. That pie is too hard to bite into for now. So to sum up Tesla's current rhythm, long-term, they're all in on robotaxis, FSD, and robots, betting on a cyberpunk future, a sea of stars. Short-term, they're relying on 2 new models, the budget Model 2 and this Model YL, to stabilize sales and a shaky market confidence. Among these, the Model YL, this bomb custom-made for the Chinese market, is undoubtedly the main event to watch in the second half of the year. Tesla must defend the Chinese market. That is not up for debate. The Model YL is the heavy ordnance they've dropped, attempting to blast a path to survival through the siege of wolves. How will it perform? Will it send its rivals scattering, or will it blow up in their own face? That depends entirely on whether Chinese consumers are willing to pay for this special offer. The car scene in the second half of the year will be anything but quiet. On one side, you have new players like Xiaomi sharpening their knives. On the other, you have the old giant Tesla straining to unleash a special edition ultimate move. And in between, you have the established local warlords, Li Auto, Aito, watching like tigers on a hill. When titans clash, we mortals just grab the popcorn. As spectators, all we need to do is get our stools, watermelon, and sunflower seeds ready and watch this multi-$100 billion fireworks show, ignited by a China exclusive, to see if it's a dazzling spectacle or a dud. After all, in the twisted like a pretzel Chinese car market, just relying on the title of special edition and a not-so-special price tag to make consumers shout, "Take my money," that might be harder than getting Elon Musk to admit that real estate prices on Mars are a bit steep. This Chinese bomb from Tesla, it's easy to light the fuse, but getting the desired blast effect, we shall wait and see. In the meantime, dear viewers, are your wallets ready? The Western giant, bleeding from the fight, looks to the east to make its future bright. A stretched out car, a local flavored pill, to cure its sails to climb a monstrous hill, but priced so high with wolves right at the door. This magic cure for Tesla's grand design relies on you to call the taste divine. That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.